when you're printing a file, you have an option to put a laminate on it, and that's a post-finishing effect, and that laminate can be a gloss laminate or it can be matte laminate, and also the lamination process can introduce like a matte texture to it. So in this file here, it's a little bit of a mock-up that we were doing for Weller, just to simulate basically a piece of black packaging with a gloss a gloss laminate on there, and also using a foil. So as with all other video tutorials, we usually show more than one effect. Even though we're demonstrating the laminate, we're also going to show you some foil and embossing on here as well. So first of all, anything with a warning sign basically says you need to configure the layer, so it doesn't know what foil it is because I just called my spot color foil. So I'm going to put this as a bronze foil on here. We're then going to play with the emboss. So the emboss has got a default size in here. Realistically, that's a much too high emboss for what you would get, so let's just bring the height down, and pretty much straight away that's probably more realistic to what you would get. I've actually got a bottle of Weller 12-year-old on the shelf, and the reason why I've done it this way is because they have a piece of black box packaging with the embossed shape of the bottle and just some text on it, literally very simple, similar to this. And I wanted to see if I could simulate that effect on the screen, and it was one of the more harder things to capture with the emboss, because deep black backgrounds with an emboss is really hard to capture in coding. But we have actually done that, and it's all about working with light and shade, so there's two different shadings going on at the same time. We also need to take into account how the laminate's going to look, so let's just show you how that works. Let's whack that up to a full gloss laminate. So we've now got this really highly reflective lamination in there, and let's just go over the top and push the texture right all the way up. So you've now got this kind of textured dimpled effect, and anybody that's used laminates before will know that you get that kind of like texture kind of effect. So let's just bring that back down to maybe something a bit more suitable like that, and let's bring the gloss level down. Let's bring it right the way down to matte. So we've got matte with a little bit of texture, and then we've got gloss. Now also, what's really important, look what happens to the foil. So when you put a lamination over the top of a foil, that lamination is going to kill off the gloss if you have it as matte. So if we put the glossiness down to 0, it's pre-calculating that in the code to dull down the effect of the foil. And that's really important because that's a realistic effect. So if I have it maybe up at 50%, it's how does that gloss effect cancel out or accentuate the foil. So when you've got a matte lamination at the top, your foil goes more like a matte effect. And you can see it will react with the light when you move it, but it's kind of dull and flat. Whereas if it's really glossy, you've got the light reflecting through the laminate and the foil. So it's really important, that is how it works. Now, if you were to put the foil above the laminate, so watch what happens now. Let's just put the thing right down to matte. Let's move the foil up. So we can move it up one layer at a time, but let's just do this one, which means send it to the top. Send it to the top. It's now no longer affected by that laminate because we're putting foil stamping over the top of the laminate. Now maybe that foil is hot foil stamped over the top, so we've got that slight edge on there that gives it that little bit of a 3D kind of embossed kind of feel that you get from like foil stamping. So now we've got maybe our lamination, it's like this, maybe that's our laminate. The foil on the top, it's embossed, beautiful. We've now got this light changing embossed area with our foil and our lamination. So that's how we work with the lamination, and as I always say, we'd like to show you more effects because it's not just about using laminate on its own, it's how does lamination work with a foil? Does it have an effect? And it does, so it's important to show you combinations of things so you understand how things work. So we will always try and give you a little bit more in all of these video tutorials, but if you do have any questions on how things work, please do contact us for assistance.